And you're on with Jason.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi, Jason. How are you?
Good.
Good to speak to you. I must admit, it's not often that South Africa gets the esteemed pleasure of speaking to one of the world's sort of foremost rock bands.
Oh my goodness. You know what my middle name is?
No?
Curtis.
No.
Crazy, isn't it?
This is too weird.
Too weird, man. Too weird. As soon as I saw your name on the paper, I'm going, hey.
Hey.
So anyway, here we go.
Here we go. But just say good to speak to you, and good news abounds. Obviously, with next month's release, I must admit, it's an interesting choice because of say just personally going through obviously the band's history, but then also there was a band that did something similar a little while ago with your very tracks as well, but in a cello capacity. And it was interesting, to the point that you guys have decided to do this now. What was the driving force behind doing it?
I think overall it would be the conductor, Michael Kamen. He was the instigator of all of this. Back in about 1990 or 91 or so, we met Michael. James got together with him to do the strings for Nothing Else Matters on the Black Album. And so we've been in contact with Michael since that time. He came to see a couple of Metallica shows over the past few years, live shows, and was quite impressed of the sheer power, I think, that four guys can come up with. He was relating it to the sheer power of a fully appointed symphonic orchestra.
Sure.
You got 100 people playing instruments and the incredible decibels that come from that and that kind of thing. I think he was attracted to that. Also, the music that James has composed, I think sometimes lends itself to that kind of almost a classical taste sometimes in some of the instrumental songs or some of the quieter songs. So I think Michael was attracted to a lot of those things. And he asked us, it was probably 2 years ago now, if we would be interested in actually making this thing happen, bringing it to realization, like a big thing with 90 or 100 players in Metallica together. So it's been about 2 years in planning. It was through Michael's suggestion.
Because I think it's going to be an interesting one for a lot of the fans to get their heads around as well, because I'm sure from a fan's point of view, you're going to get a lot of people sort of before they hear it, sort of trying to understand why a band who, as you say, is so so not that in a typical sense, but as you said, has all the elements of both orchestral and straight up and down rock. So I think it'll be an interesting one, for people to get their heads around. But as I say, I think it'll be refreshing, because I think what Michael will have achieved is bringing out another element of what Metallica are really all about.
And I think so. It shows some serious determination and musicianship and all that kind of thing, of course. There will be the people that try to predict it and try to think they know what's coming. I think that this is, you said it right in getting your head around it. I mean, it really takes quite a bit to digest all of this music. It's a challenge to the listener to actually take it all in. Because yes, you're familiar with, if you're a fan of Metallica, you're familiar with most of these songs. You've heard them a lot of times, and just like ourselves, we've played them 1,000 times. But because of what's happened now with these extra 90 people on stage, every song is a new song. And even for the hardcore fans that know Metallica inside and out, it's a whole new thing for them to listen to and to try to grasp. And it won't be something you can make an assessment of in one listen or even 5 listens. I think it's something that really is going to take some serious advanced listening. People that do listen to a lot of music will understand it, and people that don't listen to as much will take a while for them to get a hold of it. I think it's quite a barrage of sounds, like all frequencies covered out, just maxing out. So it's very different to listen to, but the main thing to remember is it's huge. I mean, that was what our quest was to make it just larger than life, and it certainly is that. And really, the magnitude of it is amazing. On some songs, the Outlaw Torn, or the Thing That Should Not Be, or those kind of songs are just amazing.
Because I mean, as much as as we've said, it'll be a sort of an interesting challenge for a listener, but for you guys as a band, in putting this together, I mean, was it a case of Michael came in with these ideas and said, okay, this is how I see, this is how I'm going to score it, or was it a case of you guys sitting down with him and as much as it not being as much your forte as your style of music is to him, did you make it a truly collaborative effort?
Absolutely. We started out together. It was in some hotel room in Vegas, I remember. We were all sitting around brainstorming. It was the first day we actually got together to focus on this thing. Wrote all of the songs that Metallica has recorded on one sheet of paper, 90 or some odd songs at that time. Started going through, this one's going to work, this one obviously won't work, this one we're not going to play just because we're not going to play it. And so we started whittling down the list. Eventually 90 became 60, and 60 became 40, and 40 became 25. When we got to 40, we started actually putting hands to the music and, actually playing them on our instruments to see if they were going to work. Michael would send us tapes of his ideas that he would play string sounds on his keyboard. And, this is how I'm hearing this as the piece that's going to go around it. That was the whole thing that is important to know, is that Metallica, the four of us, we still played the songs exactly like we have played them, every show for 1,000 shows, full force.
Right.
There was no adaptation of our version of the music. The existing composition that Metallica initially wrote and recorded. Now, what Michael came with was a separate composition that revolved around and worked within our existing composition. So we didn't really know what to expect as far as him coming in thinking that the orchestra is going to play the exact same notes as us, or play, the guitar riffs exactly with us, or they're just going to be doubling our music, or what. It was not that. It was if you listen to the orchestral composition by itself, it's its own piece of music. And you listen to Metallica's thing, it's its own piece of music. When you put them together, it's just, it's one other piece of music. So it wasn't a copy type of thing. It was, he hears music completely different than we do, like you say, in his classical sense. We hear our music in a 1, 2, 3, 4 rock and roll kind of format. That's what we know best. And so because of that, naturally, it was very, very different. He would show us, he would write it down. I mean, it'd be all right there in dots and notes and everything, and say, did you know that you have 6 time signatures in one song? Did you know that you have 3 time signatures in this 1 minute of this song? These guys were going, really? We don't know anything about that, writing proper orthodox music theory or those kind of things. We just know that when we play it, it goes chunka 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 or whatever. We know it by the numbers in our head only. And so that thing to begin with, the two worlds coming together like that. He only works from paper, we only work from our minds. So that, to begin with, is a really crazy thing to put together. But it worked for exactly 4 months to write down all of the music. 4 months every day to compose all of the pieces that were going to be used. So it was something, it was an incredible undertaking.
And I think, to the point that when you eventually finished and you sort of sat back and sort of listened to it, was it a case of, in listening to what you had created over the years and listening to it in this, probably in its fullest force, as you were saying earlier, what sort of went through your mind? Was it a case of thinking, this is how we should, this is truly how the band, it could sound at its best ever?
I think that for me, the purer the sounds, the better. You know, you just got a guitar plugged straight into an amp, or an old blues guy sitting there singing just his voice and guitar or whatever. That purest form is the best, and it's also the best for Metallica. Just the four of us playing our music really loud, I think, is the ultimate Metallica. This thing is just an incredible enhancement of what happened those 2 nights. They're really good at capturing, you know, the TV cameras and the serious audio equipment captured these 2 nights of this bringing together of 2 opposite worlds. You know, so whether I think that that's the ultimate Metallica, no, I don't think so. Because of what Metallica is meant to be is much more grinding and a bit more abrasive. This is just, oh man, it's so how do you say it? It's magnificent. You know, it's just so much more than what I think you would want from Metallica, perhaps. It's a good thing we just did this one time. You know, it's not something that I would want to carry on as Metallica's thing or whatever. It's a very special thing for what it is, and I'm just glad we captured it that time. It's not something that I think we would want to carry on, or you know, to become actually like a part of Metallica or something like that.
Yeah, but I mean,
I'm sorry, maybe I misunderstood.
No, I mean, but in saying that, on the back of doing this, does it make you as a band sort of look at what you do perhaps maybe a little differently, to the point that you...
Yeah, absolutely. We saw our music through different eyes and heard it through different ears, and the symphony guys did the same thing, you know, with their music. You know, very much that. You really become appreciative of their talents and their... I mean, these people have worked all their lives to get where they are with their instruments, you know what I mean? So the respect thing and all that is just really present from both sides. I mean, that was probably the coolest thing of the whole collaboration, is that, you know, neither side knew what to expect when we came together for rehearsals or whatever. You know, I mean, these people come from a totally different school, like fully educated from age 5 in music, and we just kind of learned from Black Sabbath records, you know, and whatever, and then we come together, and the respect that was shown within the first couple of hours, respect that was earned, mutual respect that was earned within the first couple of hours, was the best thing for me. When the first day of the show, the first performance, the orchestra comes out on the stage in their tux and tails, and the Metallica crowd welcomes them like a Metallica crowd welcomes somebody. Like, fuck yeah! You know, like in their face, loud as shit. You know, and they usually, they're not used to that. You know, they come out to, like, you know, a smattering of applause, you know, bravo, you know, and these kids are just going, fuck Metallica, you know, and you look over, James and I are tuning on the side of the stage, and all the people on our side look over at us, and they're all beet red, bright red, smiles from ear to ear, just like, you know, you can just feel
it.
Their happiness, you know, they're blown away by the reception, and that was just the beginning of it all. I mean, that kind of was the starting, and from there it just got more intense. By the end of the second show, the viola players were throwing the metal sign out in the crowd.
Brilliant.
You know, yeah, and it was like a really, I don't know, but some kind of special thing where the music rode over all of the premonitions, rode over all of the, you know, expectations, or all those things, negative expectations, that is. People saying that it couldn't happen, or people thinking it would just clash too hard and nothing could ever come out of it that would be listenable. You know, those kind of things. It's really the music and just that whole feeling of those people, you know, being appreciated like that. I think that they really were very moved by the, let's say, loyalty and just determination and all that of the Metallica people, you know, the Metallica fans. They were all very well behaved that night.
Yes.
You know, people got dressed up and stuff. It was pretty cool.
But I mean, you know, you talk about people, you know, having probably had a pessimistic view on it. Did you ever sort of think that it wouldn't have been possible, or that it wouldn't have been what it ultimately became to you on those 2 nights?
Yes, there was so much anticipation and so much, excitement about it. You weren't really sure if anything good was going to come out. For one thing, I was real worried about our rehearsal time. We ended up having about 10 hours of rehearsal for 5 hours of performance. And that's unheard of. The symphony rehearsed a few hours with Michael by themselves. Metallica rehearsed a few hours by ourselves. And then we came together for a total of 2 days or something before we had to perform for all these people.
Yeah.
You have 100 people playing together. I mean,
as one.
You look at any symphony orchestra, whether they're from South Africa or from New York or from Sweden, whatever. There's a handful of composers, maybe a dozen composers of all time that these people play from.
Sure.
No matter what language you speak.
Sure.
If you're in symphony orchestra, those are the composers that you play.
Sure.
That is the music that you know. That is the patterns and formulas and things that you see go across your pages over and over again as you learn your instrument.
Sure.
Right? All of a sudden, you've got this crazy music composed Hetfield and Kamen in front of you. Patterns and formulas and things that you've never seen before, and 6-time signatures in 2 minutes, and all this kind of crazy stuff. So for them to step up to that, is a huge thing in itself.
Sure. And I mean, also
there's so many factors and so many things that could have gone wrong.
Sure.
Like the first time, these shows are the first time that Metallica as a band had ever worn in-ear monitors. Okay, that is a big deal. Okay.
Sure.
We have always, for 15 years, when you hit a note, it moves you.
Yeah.
The volume. You feel the sound before you hear it.
Right.
It's so freaking loud. Like the symphony, they are at their best when they're quiet.
Yeah.
Everything is quiet, and they can feel the intonation of their instrument through their head. The delicate instrument. Metallica is at their best when they're really fucking loud. So we had to work it out where all of our sound is coming in through our heads, little ears, little monitors, and to keep the stage volume down so that those people can play at their best. Okay, so that's one thing that we had to adapt to right away, and we'd never ever done it before. Okay, so there was a big chance for things to happen. And then the PA system still had to be on in the room, and it was a small room. And so the volume of that messed up the symphony too and their intonation. So at the same time, there's all these challenges that are coming up to you constantly as you're playing this stuff. So there was a lot of chance for things to happen. And it was kind of hard to tell what was going on when the performance was taking place. But now that we've mixed it and all that kind of thing, it's really quite incredible to hear.
Now,
all the nuances and subtleties.
But now, with all of that said, it's being released obviously on CD, but the DVD is coming out as well now. Do they work equally well sort of in their separate entities, or is it a case of to capture what you guys actually went through, that whole DVD performance of seeing the emotion, seeing the fans, of being there? Does it detract from the disc?
The DVD is actually incredible. They mix it to the surround sound and the possibilities, of course, of the DVD, where you have, on this one, for instance, you can hear, just the symphony. You can hear just Metallica. You can watch, just the violin section, just the drummer, just, all these different angles, different choices of sounds and things like that. So we use that to its fullest, and I think that it's done very well in the way that you can feel those things, and you see the interaction between players of this world and players of this world, all that kind of thing. It's really quite entertaining.
And I think especially for a band that has the history that Metallica does, certainly to go down a path like this must, as we said earlier, sort of breathe not new life into the band, but just take it along a completely different path, because I think ultimately it'll always be entertaining to the fans, but in order to keep it interesting for yourselves as well.
Right, that's true. it's another, just another challenge, basically. I mean, that's the bottom line. We are always very interested in challenges, and have been our thing for a long time. When somebody says we can't do something, that is exactly our cue to do it. And so this is a big challenge. And Michael said, "You guys think you can tackle this? Are you up for this?" And we said, "Of course, man. Let's do it. We want to try this. What do we got to lose, man?"
Sure.
It's like you got to keep trying things in order to keep the band strong and all that.
And of course,
I'm really glad that we did it now. I mean, the mixing just finished a couple days ago.
Oh, right.
And there was some serious, just as always when you're making a Metallica, well, probably anybody's record, but Metallica record, there's a lot of tension, and the deadline was really quite pretty tough. A lot to do in a short amount of time, and I'm really glad that it's done now, and it's really neat to listen to for me as a fan of Metallica. A couple of these songs are just so moving, so touching. The Call of Cthulhu is what we start the show with, and this song, I've been in the band for 13 years, and I have never played this song with the band before. It was always kind of sacred because of Cliff, and so we brought that out for the beginning of the show, and it's just, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it right now. I mean, it was really just moving, and so many people that know Metallica know that song hasn't been brought out. So things like that are very special for people that do know Metallica.
Because I think as well, with listening to you saying the time frames that this whole project was worked around, short of when it was initially thought about, but the actual time of it actually coming together, and the rehearsal times, and even the mixing times. There was nothing given to sort of a second chance or being able to go back and revisit. It's a case of ultimately.
No, really, it wasn't. Just had to kind of use what we had there. People's, performances. Certainly, there are mistakes here and there. And you got 100 people on the stage, and there's always going to be something taking place that's a little bit funny, and that's the beauty of it.
But that's the thing. I think that's what'll make it so special is that it's not 100% clinical. It's probably sharing your best elements and the orchestra's best elements, but capturing that live. That's exactly what you've achieved.
Exactly right. What you hear, is exactly what took place. Mistakes and all.
Stunning. As they say.
Not nearly as meticulous as a regular Metallica album where everything has to be so freaking perfect all the time. It's really much more free and much more musical than that.
And speaking to Michael, how does he feel about it? Is he chuffed?
He was really really happy. And we saw him, a couple of weeks ago. He came to the studio, turned the mix and stuff. He stopped in a few different weeks, and now he's ecstatic. Actually, he's got quite remarkable energy and understanding of music. He has some kind of quest within him of tying his music, classical music, with every other form that he can find, every other genre that will give him a chance. I mean, he's done things with, Japanese drum bands and different styles, just different people, different languages, and that, Pink Floyd and Bob Dylan and Clapton and Metallica, That's a lot of stuff besides his regular, London Philharmonic and whatever other orchestra he decides to go and you know what I mean? So it's really quite, I feel really privileged to be able to hang around with him and learn from him. He's very eccentric, very much the artist. Sometimes it's kind of weird to get used to, but man, there's great beauty to it.
But I think if anything, this project just goes to prove that that music in any form is obviously ultimately absolutely universal, and I think you've captured that.
Yes, it's true, and more and more, I think in the last few years, listeners are becoming more open to more diverse styles. The players are being more brave about mixing up styles of music, creating hybrid bands. you know, you got like a turntable guy and a soul singer and a white bass player and a funk guitar player and all on one stage, you know, percussion guy. And there's 9 elements of 9 different kinds of bands in one band now. Those kind of things you're seeing more and more. And so in the festivals that we've played in the last, you know, like this summer and the summer before, the acts that are booked on the same stages are becoming, you know, so much more diverse. Like you have one stage in one day that could have Al Green and Chemical Brothers and Metallica and Ben Harper and, you know, whoever, all on one stage at the same time, the same day within 10 hours.
Sure.
You know, and all the people that are there are accepting all the music.
Yeah, which is
certainly,
great.
Certainly some people like the heavier stuff better, or somebody likes the female vocal better, or whatever, but they're all there accepting the music.
And they're open to it.
It's not nearly as much tunnel vision or closed-mindedness as we saw, say, maybe 10 years ago. So I think that's a beautiful thing. Michael's just jumping right in there with his own style.
Great, great. Well, Jason, thank you so much. I'm going to ask you one last favor, if I may.
Okay.
I'm going to be doing this for a publication called Top 40 Magazine, which is sort of South Africa's rock magazine out here. And we're going to stick it on radio as well. We have a station here called 5FM. And basically, if we can maybe just do a short ID, that would be great.
No problem. For 5FM?
Yeah, well, I think what we'll do...
Should I say your name also? Or?
No, what you can do is it's going to go on a show called The Night Zoo.
The Night Zoo?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's with a gentleman by the name of Barney Simon.
Barney Simon.
Okay. Play with that if you will.
I'm ready. You ready?
Yep.
Howdy, hi, friends and neighbors. This is Jason Newsted from Metallica. You're on the Night Zoo with Barney Simon on 5FM.
Stunning. Thank you so much.
Yeah, professional.
There we go. That's what you are. Well,
thanks for the help down there, man.
No.
You know, we want to come down there and play so bad.
Well.
We've been talking about it for so many years.
Well.
I would say that if Mr. Ulrich has his way, which he usually does, that on the next world tour after the next studio album, we'll do the full-blown Metallica world tour. I think that we will make it this time.
We will hold you to that.
It's very important to him to get it in the routing this time, because that is our ongoing quest, is to play our music for anybody that wants it. So.
And you have a lot of those here, believe me.
Yeah, I know that, and we've heard about it for so many years, and you know,
it's about time.
We want to do it as bad as people want it, so
great.
It is something that we really like to do.
Well, thanks again, Jason. Thanks for your time,
Thanks for your help.
Congratulations on a sterling effort.
Yes, and I think that you're really going to like it, man.
Well, I can't wait.
All right. Take care. Thanks for the help.
Thank you.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.